Hello, welcome to CBC. I am Vladislav Vashishin and you are watching Frankly Speaking analytical program. Today we are going to talk about Azerbaijani-Danish bilateral relations as two countries celebrate 25th anniversary of the diplomatic relations. Our guest is Svend Åling, the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Denmark to Azerbaijan. Hello, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you very much for your time you're sharing with us, and please receive our sincere congratulations on your new appointment.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Ambassador, how would you describe the current diplomatic relations between our countries, and what are the major steps in your plan to deepen ties between Azerbaijan and Denmark in coming years?
Well, as the new ambassador recently accredited in Baku, I'm happy to state that the relations are good between Baku and Copenhagen, but we're also trying to look ahead. And as you know, Denmark as a European Union member are looking very interestedly towards the new framework agreement that Azerbaijan and the European Union is trying to negotiate.
And how would you describe the current economic relations between Azerbaijan and Denmark?
Let's say there's room for potential. We can do much more in terms of trade volume. But we should also remember that it's not just about moving cradles across the border. It's also about investments. And there are already important investments from Denmark in Azerbaijan, in the oil sector, in the food sector. Carlsberg, the Danish brewery, is very active as an investor in Azerbaijan. But I think we can do more there also.
Mr. Åling, recently at the meeting with President Ilham Aliyev, you noted that among other joint projects, Denmark was interested in building up a plant for production of turkey meat. Please tell us a bit more about the plant.
Well, I'm pretty excited about that. It's going to be something that we're working on right now, and also on participation of Danish public investment funds and guarantees. And the volume that we're talking about is quite exciting. We're talking actually about an investment beyond 10 million euros. We're talking about 1,500 tons of turkey meat being produced in the first instance for the Azerbaijani market, but you never know what could happen later. This is, of course, a private Danish company that's working on this. They're quite excited about it. They found a good Azerbaijani partner. So we're hoping the best. You could imagine that, for instance, if the framework agreement with the European Union bears fruit, you could imagine down the road that there will also be room for exports. But for now, the focus would be on production, state-of-the-art and comprehensive production with an Azeri partner targeting the local market.
Mr. Åling, you said that the investments are beyond $10 million to build up the plant. Potentially, it means that in short term or mid-term, we will see doubling of the annual turnover between the countries. You also touch upon export opportunities. In your opinion, what countries could be the potential clients?
Any good customers we can find in Europe and beyond, I would even say. But also, I mean, turkey production is one limited sector to start looking at. But I talked to the investor, and he thinks it's interesting also to look into to chicken production, to beef production, to milk production with local partners. So we will be coming in as technology providers and with investment funds, possibly with government guarantees from the Danish government side, and working with Azeri partners on this. What we can offer, I'm proud to say, is an absolute state-of-the-art production facility that is able to meet, for instance, European standards and is energy efficient and produces very, very high quality foods. And this is what I found interesting. As I talked to the Honorable President in Baku, we found a match here, saying this is historically a sector, food production, where we do very, very well. And this is precisely the sector where the President is looking to expand production and capabilities in Azerbaijan. So we have a match here, and we're trying to work with this. And I'm optimistic about it. But not just in turkey production, that's the first step, but there are others also. And of course, the Carlsberg brewery that is now active in Azerbaijan is also in the food sector, so it's not a first step.
What other areas for the development of the mutually beneficial cooperation do you see?
I would mention renewable energy, where I know that Azerbaijan is ambitious, and we are one of the leading nations in providing very, very green energy. That's wind energy, it's energy efficiency, it's district heating, it's waste to energy. There we really have something to offer. And Maersk Drilling is already active in the energy sector in Azerbaijan. Also in the pharmaceutical sector, we are already active in Azerbaijan. It's an important market for us, but there maybe more can be done yet. But I can say that we just had a ministerial visit just 2 months ago, where a Danish minister visited Baku. It was a good success, and we were able at that point to sign a double taxation agreement with Azerbaijan. This is important for citizens and businesses because that way they get predictability of the tax regime that they're facing. So we're hoping that's one piece of the foundation to work more on boosting trade and investment between Denmark and Azerbaijan.
Mr. Ambassador, Azerbaijan pays great attention to the development of tourism. Do you think it is an attractive sphere in terms of Danish investments?
I think when anybody who visits Baku for the first time is extremely impressed by the development in the country. It's a beautiful city that is developing very fast, and we would like to play a role in that also, obviously. So I think there's an enormous interest now developing around Azerbaijan, not least because you're so visible with the European Song Contest, the big sport events and so forth, and that generates interest in coming there. And when people arrive in Baku, they're very positively surprised in the kind of a city they find. So this atmosphere is important. Well, let me start by the one that I'm personally interested in. That's tourism, also visiting some of the many beautiful sites not just in Baku but beyond. I have a personal ambition of having a skiing vacation in Azerbaijan soon, next year. But to tell you the truth, if you ask the people in Denmark, say, where could you imagine going on a ski vacation? They would mention many countries before they would mention Azerbaijan. And this is something that we can work with and try to change, because I know from people who have been there that the facilities are actually good. Maybe it's also about the international infrastructure. What are the flight connections? What are the prices of reaching Baku from Copenhagen? That's also something that's really worth looking into. But I know that Azerbaijan has so many beautiful places here. Also, if you go beyond Baku, and this is something we should put on display for Danish citizens also, and the other way around. Having a serious visit to Copenhagen would be great.
Mr. Olin, during independence years, Azerbaijan has drawn an impressive amount of investments, over $200 billion. Are the Danish businessmen interested in making invests in SMEs business in Azerbaijan?
I think there's an interest because Azerbaijan, you look at the figures, it's been developing so fast over the last couple of decades. Actually, ever since we established bilateral diplomatic relations 25 years ago. So obviously that creates an interest. But what I'm a little bit fascinated seeing when I look at the interest from Danish companies, it's in a number of sectors, and it's small companies. The substantial investment in the Turkey business would actually come from a smaller company. And some of the investors that are already there in the oil business, Maersk and Carlsberg Breweries and Novo Nordisk are some of our largest companies. So we have the whole sector from small to large. But I think the secret here is really to look for where do we have the match in terms of the technologies that we provide, where we are good, and how does it match the plans and ambitions of Azerbaijan. For instance, in saying Azerbaijan wants to assert itself as not just a producer of food, but also as an exporter, where there we have something to offer of world-class technology and high standards for export in food production. So let's partner up on that. I want to go beyond the old-fashioned, let's call it mercantile thinking of let's just push some boxes across the border and then we do trade. It's also about investment. It's about partnerships across border. So that a Danish company, especially if it's a smaller company, finds a local partner who knows Azerbaijan and the ins and out of the Azerbaijani system, and that way they can create more together. We can provide technology in many different areas.
After a little exploration of Denmark, I found that one of the main economic drivers of Denmark is transportation and technology. Geographically, Azerbaijan is located on the crossroad of many trade routes, yet positioning itself not only a transportation hub, but also an IT hub, implementing large-scale projects. What do you think, or what kind of cooperation could be established in order to realize these plans together and better?
Well, it's a question of finding the matches between the companies. Issues like software development is something that's interesting. But I think IT, we should be careful when we're talking about the ICT sector, seeing it simply as a sector in a certain field. Because when it gets really interesting with IT, it's when it's an enabler for other technologies. So we shouldn't limit ourselves in our thinking with IT as being something about software development in a very isolated way. IT is even more important when it enters into turkey production and into beer production and into drilling technology, because it's an enabler and we need IT. And that's something the Danish businesses do very well, where I could see another match that is using IT for business development and for integration.
Let's talk about cooperation in social sphere. Denmark enjoys the result of great social reforms. What cooperation would you advise to strengthen the relation between our countries?
We do enjoy a large degree of social stability in Denmark, and we believe this is a stabilizing factor in a society. So that is definitely something we can work on. But I've seen in Baku also the many results in terms of housing and so forth that Azerbaijan has been achieving.
Azerbaijan is a leading country in the CIS in implementation of twinning projects with EU through the Eastern Partnership Program, by which it demonstrates its desire for the rapid development, integration into the European community. Is there any plan for joint implementation with Azerbaijan in that direction?
Well, twinning is a way that Denmark likes to work, and peer-to-peer contacts, for instance, between civil servant experts. Looking at a sector, how's that being developed? For instance, here in Turkey, we just signed agreement with Turkey on strategic sector cooperation on energy, particularly on district heating and cooling, and also on waste management in the environmental sector. And what's happening there is that civil servants who are experts get together, share notes and share experience, including to draft legislation and all sorts of things. How can we learn from each other? This is a good way to work. We don't have any specific plans with Azerbaijan, but there's a little one thing that I had the privilege to discuss with President Aliyev also. That is that we have invited Azerbaijan to participate in a very large food conference that takes place this summer in Copenhagen, where there's a good chance for civil servants and private sector activists in Baku of meeting counterparts and possible partners in Denmark, both on the government side and on the production side. And we're hoping, and it sounds like it, that Azerbaijan will take up the invitation.
Mr. Ambassador, thank you very much for a positive interview. We really enjoyed knowing about some plans of Denmark regarding Azerbaijan.
Thank you. Have a great day, and thanks for the opportunity and the interest in Denmark.
This was Sven Olin, the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Denmark to Azerbaijan. We talked about bilateral relations as two countries celebrate 25th anniversary of diplomatic relations. Thank you for watching us. That's all for today. Stay tuned.